welcome to our Ways and Means Committee.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do you want to call the roll?
Mr. Morrow?
Here.
Mr. Harrington? Mr. Merrihew?
Here.
Mr. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Depot?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mr. Monty?
Here.
Mr. McNally?
Here.
Mr. Skazlava?
Here.
Mr. Deloria?
Here.
Mr. Pleedy?
Here.
Mrs. DeZalia?
Here.
Mr. Marnell?
Here.
Mr. Montroy has been excused. Mr. Giordano?
Here.
Mr. Tyler?
Here.
Mr. Gilliland?
Here.
And Mr. Preston.
Here. Okay, thank you. Before we begin resolutions, I want to introduce Margaret Bartley and Sue Montgomery Corey. Could you please come up to recognize our first female supervisor?
Hi there, folks. I'm going to give you a little history here of why we're doing this. In September of 1911, in this room, probably standing somewhere about where we are right now, a young woman, 25 years old, addressed the all-male Board of Supervisors here in Essex County. She had just graduated from college with a law degree, which was unusual in 1911. Her name was Inez Milholland. Her family is from Lewis, and she spoke to the men here at the meeting at that date about how important it was for them to support the women's suffrage resolutions that were being passed through the state legislature, because it was up to the votes of all men to allow women to vote. And the women like Inez Milholland and other women had been working for over 50 years to get that passed. After she gave that presentation here, she continued for 5 years working throughout the United States promoting the women's suffrage amendment. When she was 30 years old, she was speaking in October of 1916 in Los Angeles and collapsed and died. She became the real martyr of the women's suffrage movement. Her body was brought back to Washington, D.C., and she was the first woman to ever lay in state in the United States Capitol on Christmas Day, 1916. The movement continued in her absence, and in 1917, the all-male legislature of New York State voted to give women the right to vote. And I want to thank the town of Newcomb. They were the only town in Essex County that voted in favor, the majority voted in favor of giving women the right to vote. Sorry that Elizabethtown didn't, but Newcomb passed it with flying colors. When Sue and Deb Mullaney and Sharon Boyson were here on this board 5 years ago, on the last day we were here at the end of the meeting, we dedicated this chair as the Inez Milholland chair, and there's a whole story from those of you who remember why we had to buy a chair. Anyway, it has been waiting for the next woman to serve on this board, and now that we have Stephanie inherits the Inez Milholland chair, and we're giving it to her. She can either take it back to her office, or she can use it here in place of the black chair. And I'm sure she'll use it in honor, and when she's done with it, she can pass it on to the next woman who serves here. Hopefully she'll have many to choose from. So we want to thank you for being here. We're excited that you're here. I have a copy of Inez's speech to give her so she can read what Inez read in this room. So it's maybe still echoing through the halls. Thank you.
Can we get a photograph?
We have Inez here.
And I just want to add to that. We heard from Deb Mullaney and Beth Cosmonder and Sharon Boyson, who couldn't be with us today, but they wanted to let you know how glad they are that you're here. And we obviously share that sentiment. The story behind the chairs, for those who weren't here, is that the chairs in this room were historic, creaky, and they fell apart occasionally. Beth Cosmonder, in one of her first meetings, fell out of her chair because it kind of broke in pieces. And then Dan Connell fell out of his chair at one point. And so at that point, the county was going through some rough times, so there wasn't a budget to buy new chairs. And so we thought the next woman sitting here ought to have a better chair. Now you all have better chairs, and we think that's a fabulous thing. So thank you, Essex County, for that. And thanks again for getting us to the point where we can afford chairs here.
And one of the original chairs is now in the Adirondack History Museum.
So great.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I also wanted to just say something. Thank you, Sue and Margaret. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to sit in this chair today, and I do intend to use it at least for a while. It being a symbol of hard work, dedication, and sacrifice, it very well could be said that without the movement led by Inez and others like her, this would not be possible today. It is my intention while on the board to stand for the rights of all citizens of our county, man, woman, and child. I will do my best to honor the legacy of the great work of Miss Inez Milholland and the 19 women that came before me: Florence, Mildred, Joyce, Joanne, Shirley, Edna, Teresa, Jeannie, Betty, Nona, Esther, Dorothy, Lori, Kathy, Bethany, Deborah, Sue, Sharon, and Margaret. I thank you for leading the way.
Stephanie, we congratulate you. It's an honor to have you with us. Thank you, ladies.
Resolutions recommended by the Human Services Committee, authorizing the following reappointments to the Community Services Board: George King for a term beginning January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2022. The Mental Health Committee, George King. Alcohol and Substance Abuse Committee, Bob Turbeck and Robin Day. Development Disabilities Committee, Marty Nephew and Scott Saylor for a term beginning January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2021.
Thank you. Moved by Mr. Monty, seconded by Mr. Morrow. Any discussion? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Authorizing the appointment of Dr. Paul Alazauri, MD, to the Community Services Board as Director of the Community Services Designee Physician.
Have a mover. Moved by Mr. Monty, seconded by Mr. Merrihew. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Authorizing the Public Health Department to apply for and accept CCHL CHAMP funds from the Adirondack Health Institute in the amount of $1,250, and further authorizing a budget amendment, increasing revenues and appropriations for the same.
Moved by Mr. Monty, seconded by Mr. Morrow. Comments or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank
Authorizing the Public Health Department to accept P4P DY3 funds from the Adirondack Health Institute in the amount of $59,035, and further authorizing a budget amendment, increasing revenues and appropriations for the same.
you. Mover, Mr. Monty, seconded by Mr. Tyler. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Authorizing the Public Health Department to accept P4P DY3 Payment-1 funds from the Adirondack Health Institute in the amount of $5,000.69, and further authorizing a budget amendment, increasing revenues and appropriations for the same.
Moved by Mr. Merrihew, seconded by Mr. Monty. Comments or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Authorizing the Public Health Department to accept Adirondack Rural Health Network funds from the Adirondack Health Institute in the amount of $3,000, and further authorizing a budget amendment, increasing revenues and appropriations for the same.
Moved by Mr. Tyler, seconded by Mr. Giordano. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Authorizing the Public Health Department to accept WF Training 11-12 funds from the Adirondack Health Institute in the amount of $3,889, and further authorizing a budget amendment, increasing revenues and appropriations for the same.
Moved by Mr. Morrow, seconded by Mr. Giordano. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank
Authorizing the reappointment of Ann Merkel and Lynn Edmonds to the Essex Office for the Aging Advisory Council for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2021.
you. Moved by Mr. Monty, seconded by Ms. Azalea. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Authorizing the appointment of Colleen Bissett to the Essex County Office for the Aging Advisory Council for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2021.
Moved by Mr. Giordano, seconded by Mr. Morrow. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Resolution of condolence to the family of Josh Schwarzenberg.
Moved by Mr. Jackson. Do I have a unanimous?
Second.
Thank you.
Resolution is recommended by the Public Safety Committee, authorizing the Public Defender's Office to accept a 3-year New York State Indigent Legal Services Grant for the term January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2020. So
This resolution has already been adopted. Can I have a mover, please, to withdraw? Mr. Morrow, seconded by Mr. Gilson. This was done at an earlier meeting, about a year-end meeting. So, any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
resolution is recommended by the Economic Development Committee, authorizing the Essex County Capital Resource Corporation to approve up to $9 million in tax-exempt bond financing to North Country School Camp Treetop for construction and renovations.
Moved by Mr. Merryle, seconded by Mr. Marnell. Discussion? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Authorizing the Community Resources Department to apply for and accept a New York State DOS Local Government Efficiency Grant in the amount of $199,854 for the real property, IT, and DPW departments for GIS software, hardware, and training.
Moved by Mr. Merryle, seconded by Mr. Monty. Comments or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Resolutions recommended by the DPW Committee, authorizing the issuance of a permit to LPM Events, LLC, for the use of county roadways for the 2019 Lake Placid Marathon and Half Marathon, to be held on June 9th, 2019.
Moved by Mr. Morrow, seconded by Mr. Depot. Comments or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Authorizing a contract amendment to Atlantic Testing Laboratories in an amount not to exceed $9,170 for installation of groundwater monitoring wells as required by New York State DEC at 3 locations from budgeted funds, and further authorizing the county chairman or manager to execute such contract amendment.
Moved by Mr. Morrow, seconded by Mr. Tyler. Comments or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Authorizing a contract amendment to Schroeder Associates in an amount not to exceed $19,100 for professional engineering services, including bidding and construction phase services for the Trout Brook Road over Trout Brook Bridge, the replacement project in the town of Minerva, with funds to come from the bridge bond, and further authorizing the county chairman or manager to execute such contract amendment.
Moved by Mr. McNally, seconded by Mr. Depot. Comments or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Authorizing the purchasing agent to go out to bid for asbestos abatement and removal of the Cornell Cooperative Extension Building, the Innerbrook Road over Johns Brook Bridge Replacement Project, the Peasley Road over the Putnam Creek Bridge Replacement Project, the Lobdell Lane over the Beaupret River Bridge Replacement Project, and the Morehouse Bridge over the Beaupret River Bridge Demolition Project.
Moved by Mr. Morrow, seconded by Mr. Wilson. Comments or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Authorizing the issuance of a permit to Ironman Lake Placid for the use of the county roadways for the 2019 Ironman Triathlon Race to be held on July 28th, 2019, and for the 2019 Ironman 70.3 Triathlon Race to be held on September 8th, 2019.
Resolution moved by Mr. Preston, seconded by Mr. Depot. Comments or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
There were no resolutions from the Personnel Committee. Finance, Tax Reduction, and Mandate Relief Committee, authorizing the real property tax services to adopt a healthy food, beverage, and wellness policy.
Moved by Mr. Scozzafava, seconded by Mr. Monti. Comments or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. No miscellaneous? Anything? Any other resolutions, gentlemen? Speak now. Okay, I'm Dan, our county attorney here.
Yes, we have a Marshall Shelley resolution. We typically do these for federal loan projects. This project concerns 43 Shore Airport Road improvements in the town of Ticonderoga. Basically, a resolution authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the federal aid and state Marshall Shelley program aid eligible costs of a transportation federal aid project and appropriating fundings therefore. The total amount of this grant with local share is $1,976,301.
This resolution is moved by Mr. Giordano. Second, Mr. Morrow. Comments or discussion, gentlemen, on this resolution? And lady? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Scozzafava, do you have anything? Anything else to come before this Ways and Means Committee? Then we are adjourned. Thank you.